Hello, you guys, and welcome back. So I've probably never said this before, but I just want to thank you guys, anyone who listens to the podcast. And I don't know if this is like a fair ask, but I would love if you would just shoot me a message and let me know that you like the content, that something I've said has resonated with you, or if there's something specific that you guys would like to hear. If you guys are new to Full Plate of Pasta, I really created this podcast with a lot of intention while also not a lot of intention. What I mean by that is I really wanted it to be a place that didn't feel overly curated, that didn't feel overly manufactured, because when I would listen to podcasts, I don't know if you guys ever felt this, it was very much like hey, welcome to the podcast. Here's my guest for today. Guest, tell us how you got started. And then we would like go through their backstory. So how did you get here now? And like you'd go through the same very manufactured background check, basically. That's how I always felt podcasts went. I felt this very weird connection to like, let me go through this like XYZ process in a podcast, tell you how you got here, and then leave it. And I just never really enjoyed podcast episodes like that. I honestly want to kind of walk in as if there was already an existing conversation or an existing like relationship there that I kind of got like privy access to. Like that's something that really worked for me and I really enjoyed. So when I started Full Plate of Pasta, I kind of wanted that non-manufactured energy. So anyway, fast forward to now, we're about 6 or so months into the podcast. A lot of you guys, I think, have just found me recently. I feel like we've started to share a little bit more behind the scenes. We did a pasta review last week at a restaurant. Lexi, my assistant, and I were out, and we decided to do a pasta review for the podcast, which is something fun we're going to start incorporating. And I really do want to start taking you guys behind the scenes of what it looks like to create a podcast. So thank you if you are a avid listener. I would love to know who you are. Just send me a quick message and kind of shoot me a little bit of information about you, what you like, what you'd like to see in the future. And then if you're new, welcome to the podcast. So as I mentioned, I want to talk today about running a podcast because I don't know if people like really know what goes into a podcast. And honestly, I don't think I knew what went into a podcast. So here's what I've learned so far. First off, this is not my first podcast. 2 years ago, on the day that I quit corporate America, which was my 30th birthday, I launched a podcast called Dirty and Rich. I almost had to remember the name. And I really wanted it to be all about wealth and building wealth and my money journey and just all sorts of stuff. And I kind of same thing, had like a very clear brand intention with it of like I wanted to grow it to like a call her daddy. Like I wanted a massive community around it. I wanted it to be fun. And I didn't necessarily have like a plan on content of how I was going to create that. I was just going to make it happen. And here's the deal. For many reasons, I just decided at the time that running a podcast was not part of the vision. And I just didn't want to invest in that at the time. So I decided to nix that very early on. We were 4 episodes in and I was like, we're done. I hate this. And like many things in my life, I chose to do it alone. So yes, I did have a podcast manager who like edited the episodes. I paid like $2,000 a month for that or whatever it was, but I didn't bring on guests. I was like, I have to record every single day. I also never felt energy. So I would like sit and just like do the audio recording. And so there was no like personality or me talking or video clips. So it just didn't really feel like it had any purpose. And I kind of sat on the idea of a podcast for like another year and a half. And I remember last year, I just had this moment where I was like, I am meant to be on stages. I'm meant to speak. I'm meant to bring women together. I really want something big. And I was like, I need to prove that I'm worth it by launching a podcast. Like, I really feel like the podcast was like almost the gateway drug into what I really envisioned for my life, which is more in-person events. I've had dabblings of wanting to launch an event company at some point where I like host events. I have Airbnbs that I can rent out for events. Like I have this like big vision, and I just kind of, I think theme of this last year is I've been playing really small. And it's very weird to like look at someone with a 7-figure business and be like, you've played so small. But I genuinely feel like I've not even scratched the surface of what I want to accomplish. And I don't know if you guys listening feel that when you like see someone else win. And one part of you probably thinks, well, they're winning because of X, Y, and Z. But if you really have a real conversation with yourself, then you have the moment where you're like, they're winning because they're fucking ballsier than me. I saw a girl today, she had 93 applications for her mastermind in basically 3 days. Her mastermind is about $4,000 more than mine, and it has 90% less access to her than mine does. So Is it apples to apples? No. Is anything apples to apples? No, not at all. And, she's been doing this for 6 years. She has a very loyal following. She has a very different business model than me. So there's not a lot of things that are the exact same, which I think is important to note. But when I saw her post, and then I saw her welcome 30 women to her mastermind, which is literally the size of my entire mastermind. She's welcomed that many people in 3 days. I wanted to cry. I don't know if you guys have ever felt that, but part of me did well, she has this, this, and this. But then part of me is like, she has the ball. Like, I've never put that pricing on my website before. Like, my pricing isn't public. I just raised my prices to something comparable. For 2 years, I've been like playing smaller with my pricing. And she's just like out here like, yeah, I'm going to double to 50K soon. I'm like, fucking badass, like fucking baller. And so when I think about launching the podcast, maybe you guys are feeling the same way. That's what I was bringing into my brain. That's what I was processing is I want to play bigger. Podcast is a way to start playing bigger and stretch myself in the way that I'm growing an audience and community. Because very transparently with By the Blazer, I'm just a sales girl. Like, I am posting sales-driven content. I'm constantly selling in stories. Like, I am a sales machine. And the podcast is not necessarily a sales avenue for us. I don't need you guys to buy a masterclass at the end of this. I don't need you guys to hire me as your business coach after. You can, and a lot of people do, but that's not like the vision for the podcast. The vision for the podcast is that in 2 years, I have women walking around with a full plate of pasta shirt on, buying a ticket to like my live event. My vision is that I have women who are sharing the podcast and talking about how like it's their favorite part about their week. And I don't really think I'm doing a good job of making that happen because I'm playing small. And yes, I'm playing small potentially in like the production of the podcast and other elements, but I also think I'm just playing small in me really pushing this as like, this is what I want out of life. Because again, I'm a salesperson, so I'm like, there's no money behind it. So that's like a weird thing. But what if I could just fucking pretend like this is already a multi-million-dollar operation? And then when it becomes it, it's like, yeah, because I've been envisioning it since day one. And I think that's what I've done very well with By the Blazer is I envisioned it as $1 million business before it ever became one. However, I was selling services. Here, though, I feel like I'm selling a community. I'm selling connection. I'm selling comfort in a lot of ways. Like when I think of pasta, I think of like comfort food, right? Like you're sitting in your pajamas, you're eating a fucking, Panera bread bowl and soup, and you're eating their mac and cheese, or you're eating leftover spaghetti or something, that's just, there's that indulgence, there's that comfort there. And that's what I really want this podcast to be is I want people to listen to this podcast and be like, this is like my comfort food. This is my cozy pajama set. And I think that requires a different level of energy moving forward in the way that we operate the podcast. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I do know a lot of you guys want to build communities. I think a lot of you guys would love to have in-person events and sell them out. And I have a good friend who really wanted to do an in-person event this year. And she's like, I can't do that. And I said, why? And she goes, because I'm not going to sell it out. And it made me so sad to see this beautiful, incredible, badass woman in front of me that I would literally pay thousands of dollars to go and listen to for a day, like rant and talk about her business and her life and whatever, think that she couldn't sell that out when I'm like, yes, you can. And there's a lot of you guys listening right now who want to sell events. You want to speak on stages. You want to write a book. You want to launch a podcast. And for some reason, there's something telling you that you have to know exactly how it's going to play out. When a lot of you guys have magic that maybe people haven't acknowledged yet, so therefore you don't think it's there or people see it, but it is. And it's very interesting when I announced the podcast, how many people are like, I can't wait to listen, that I didn't even knew who the fuck I was, or people who came to my first big event 2 years ago that like, I didn't know them and they just like flew out to this event, or people who are coming to my retreat. And like, there's all these things that are happening. And I have to remember that it takes time to build a community that I want, but it's also something that like I crave. So yes, it's hard. Yes, it's a lot of work. And yes, I think that the podcast is an avenue to a bigger picture of what I want. But damn, yeah, I hope in like a year or two, I come back to this episode and I'm like, oh my God, I was sitting and crying on my couch that I have no community around my podcast. Like, look what I've created. But it's also a lot of fucking work. And I want to be very transparent about that the podcast has kind of been my like aha moment that I'm not very good at building communities. It's kind of been my holy shit, where would I be if I really prioritized the community on top of the conversion? And I think I'm very conversion heavy and the community comes second always. And I've talked about this in other episodes too, but it's really something that has felt very heavy recently because I do envision myself as someone who wants to conquer the world, and you have to tackle a lot of heaviness to conquer the world. You have to fail a lot to conquer the world, and I fail a lot and I question things a lot and I have imposter syndrome and I worry about things sometimes, and I think I navigate it very well, where like imposter syndrome's for like a half second and then I talk myself out of it. I think I worry and then I hustle and I make something happen. I think that I bitch about something and then I like talk myself out of it, and I'm good at that. So it's not really that I struggle with those things consistently, but they do make me, I think, lean towards the safety net of, well, this is where my sweet spot is, I'm gonna live here. Or this is what like my clients have confirmed to me that they want, so therefore I'm gonna live here. And something that's interesting is I was talking to a girl yesterday who reached out about consulting with me, and I told her, in order to have what you want in the future, you need to make decisions as if you're already living that future, like that's your current reality, not your actual current reality. Like if you want to operate as a 50K per month business owner, what decisions would you be making at that level? You have to make those now. And that literally led her to make a decision that felt really good for her in regards to investing. And I think I have to do that with the podcast. If I had a community of 100,000 women listening to the podcast today, how would I lead? How would I operate? It's not even remotely what I'm fucking doing now. And shame on me, because in business, I'm very good at doing that. I make investments like I would be making in 6 months of where my business is. I move like I would be moving in 6 months. And with this fucking podcast, I'm being like wimpy ass pussy baby bitch Benny, and it's like not a good idea. It's like not good. It's not helpful. It's not effective. It's not working. And so that's really like made me question. So one of the things that we're going to be doing with the podcast is we're going to be just kind of expanding what community looks like for the podcast. I've always thought like anything you do has to be content related to promoting the podcast, and I actually don't think that's true. If you look at some of the biggest creators, like they've just built brands around like what they love or what they're known for. And for me, I think it's like comfort and pasta and sitting and being like shooting the shit with someone in a way that says like, yeah, like let's fucking go. Like I'm very good at just like sitting down and like raw dogging like a conversation or a coaching session or whatever. And that's kind of what I want the podcast to feel like. Like grab your pajamas, grab a glass of wine, like let's sit and like listen to the podcast and be like, fuck yes, Ashley, like I want that energy. And so like even just me doing that and talking to you guys on Instagram, like mini podcast episodes on Instagram, pasta reviews, because I just think that that's so fucking fun. And like, I fucking love pasta. So that would be coming, and really just kind of bringing you into this community and this comfort zone, this comfort food type energy for you, where it's like, you can just come and enjoy this 20-minute episode. You can come in and think differently about your business after a 15-minute like ramble session from me. You can think differently about wealth and like what your purpose is and like what running a business as a mom looks like, or going back to your faith and feeling reconnected to like your bigger purpose. I want women to be like, this is like my comfort food. This is a plate of spaghetti for me. This is a fucking bread bowl from Panera, which I typically eat without the soup. I just don't tell them, and I don't want to order just a bread bowl, so I get the soup part, but I don't actually eat the soup. Like that's what I want, and I don't think I've done a very good job of that. So I want to just sit down and have a little chat with you guys about my vision for the podcast that I'm failing at miserably, and what I think the podcast can be. One, to manifest it for myself, and also two, just to give you guys permission to realize that if you're playing small in your life, in your business, in your career, in your podcast, in your friendships, in your relationship, and whatever you want, like, I get it. I might have $1 million company. I might have a lot of successes, but I'm failing miserably at the podcast thing. I might have, lots of friends that I love and adore, but I've also lost many of them in the last couple of years. And my business has had some of the best months ever. And this last week, I've had one of those like, something's off. And I think it's because my gut tells me I need to play bigger, and I'm fucking scared about it. So I need to like, again, stop being like pussy little bitch Benny and like figure it out. I think that's gonna be my new podcast. The next one that I launch will be Pussy Bitch Benny. That probably doesn't trademark very well, but we'll figure all those things out. We'll figure it out. I don't know if you can trademark pussy bitch, but if you can, I'm sure actually, unfortunately, someone who's trademarked that in the past has been for very different purposes than what I'm talking about now that I really think about that. So anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to give you guys kind of the insight. And so I really do want every episode to be impactful, even if it's not necessarily something that you like really relate with. And I didn't really used to absorb a lot of podcast content. I'm not like a big avid podcaster, like listening to a ton of podcasts or like avidly listen to certain ones, but I'm starting to get into them, and I'm not really resonating with a lot of them because, again, I think they're very curated. So I'm trying to figure out what it looks like to create this little part of the market that like I just dominate in. And I know it's there, but I also have to like be committed to finding that and owning it. And sometimes in the pursuit of greatness, you have to be very lonely in your pursuit of that. Like you have to experience a lot of loneliness and heaviness and confusion and guesswork. And in business, I've always been so hungry for sales and for wealth and success that I pursued it hard. Even when I had no answers in business, I pursued that. And in the podcast, I'm like, it'll come. And I'm like, no, I need to like grow the fuck up. So that's what this next like phase of the podcast is going to be. We're about 6 months in. We've done 30-ish or so episodes, which is incredible. And we do have some women who like love the podcast. We're sharing it more with our clients. Lexi is my, God here on earth in regards to sharing episodes and connecting women to resources that are incredible, because I want you guys to feel like you're getting almost a paid VIP experience with the podcast, but that requires a different level of dedication on my end and passion on my end and like more alignment to the bigger vision. So I'm excited just to share that with you. And one thing I do ask is if you do listen to this episode, if you can just be so kind and take 20 seconds, you can even DM me on my personal account if you don't want to message the podcast directly, although I do respond to messages there, I promise. But if you could just say like, hey, I listened to your episode, I love it, or I fucking hate what you do, Ashley, you need to change it, or I need you to create an episode on this, or this is what I think you should do, or just anything, feedback, good, bad, ugly, ideas, anything that you have. I would love to just hear from you guys, because my number one goal is to make this podcast yours. Like I want you guys to be like, oh my God, she listened to me. She created an episode just for me. Bethany in Florida, like Orlando, Florida. I want to make an episode for you, or like Jazz in, Pennsylvania, like whoever you are. I just want to make your episode for you where you're like, I literally just got like a private mentorship session with Ashley on this call, whether it's for business, personal, friend, anything and everything, whether I bring in a guest or it's something one-on-one that I can give you. I just want this podcast, these episodes to be yours and this podcast to be yours. And yeah, I want that 2 years vision to come through. So pray for me, podcast community, but also just know like I'm learning and growing alongside of you guys, and every new venture comes with challenges. And these are just the ones that we're facing today. So I appreciate you guys being here. If you are an avid listener, I love you. I would love to know you though. I would love to know who you are. And if you're new to the podcast, thank you for giving it a chance. And I hope that I see you guys next week.